Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome, and I hope you stay here and I hope you like what you hear. These are going to be your messages for the month of October. I have made a point on most of the videos to be very vocal about what my intention is with these messages. And I was actually asked by my spiritual team to let you know what that intention is and the purpose for why I do this. And the main reason why I do this for you, why I give you messages, is to give you tools and understandings so that you can apply it in your life in a way that allows you to feel freer, to feel much more empowered, to feel less stuck, to feel much happier. So that is what my intention is with every single message that I receive from Spirit. So whether you are a Taurus or whether you are Virgo, whether you are Scorpio or some other sign, whatever comes through these messages for you, they're meant to make you think, they're meant to make you stop and pause, and they're meant to make you reevaluate perhaps some things in your life. That also means that the focus isn't as much on predictions, and the basic idea for it, or the main reason for it, is the predictive component of your future is very much tied to you and who you are as a person and what your beliefs are. So for me to say this is going to happen is very much dependent on where you're at. And I think most of you get that. But my greatest joy and my greatest wish for you is always to hear that my messages help you, because they help you stop and think, and as a result of that you reevaluate some things, you shuffle some things in your mind, and you begin to have a brand new perspective which changes your perception of everything. So that is my intention for you, and it's important that I say this to you so that when you listen to this, you may say, that's not for me, I want to know what's going to happen. Or you may say, this is exactly for me because I want to know what's preventing me from certain things in my life. These messages, as you notice, are coming early for you. I will try to make it a habit of making them early. It is not the easiest task with my full plate, but I will do the best I can. I am also going to be offering live sessions on YouTube, so stay tuned. And I will do my best to do one in October. So stay tuned. This will be, I will let you know. And as always, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. Without you, I always say, I wouldn't do this. And it brings me great joy and great happiness to see your comments on how my messages help you. And I think that's all I have. I hope you enjoy these. Of course, if it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning of when you hear it, listen to it towards the end of the month. You guys tell me that more often than not, it applies to you way more. So without further ado, let's get moving. Hello Capricorns, these are going to be your messages for the month of October 2018. For some reason I saw 2019. No, 2018. We're not there yet. Let me start off by tuning in and see if I can get some information for you. Some of you, I feel, have had a really good trip, and I want to say great trip, and then I want to high five you. So it sounds like some of you at least have come back from something that you have been participating in that was very important to you. You may have acquired a new skill. You may have gone through some sort of training, which is the same thing. You may have gone back somewhere that was important. There's something that you did that made you feel very excited, but also gave you a sense of accomplishment. So that's really important. For some of you, I'm being shown you either need to stop fighting time, or you have stopped fighting time. Let me just see if I can understand it. So if the message is stop fighting time, well, you can't fight time. Why would you be fighting? Why would they be fighting time? It's almost like, for those of you who don't want any changes, well, if you're one of those rare individuals who says, I don't want any changes, that's kind of tough because change always happens, and it may happen always on a minute level, but eventually it looks like it's something big. And I feel for those few of you, it's time to move on. It's time to be evolved. And I feel some of you have been kind of hiding back, not wanting to see, not wanting to get uncomfortable, not wanting to get out of your comfy bed, so to speak, and deal with anything. You just kind of wanted to lay low. And I feel the time has come when you are needing to look at some things. Many of you I feel like are growing up. So that's if you've been fighting time, you've been fighting change. The other message is you've stopped fighting with time. In other words, you stopped making time so important in your life. In other words, when will I get married? When will I get a good job? When I will do this? Well, am I too old to do it? Anything that you have that is time connected, that somehow binds you, which does not allow you to be more. Any sort of timing restriction, many of you are choosing to let that go. Why? Because those of you who this is for are becoming much more comfortable in your own skin and much more comfortable in who you are. Therefore, the more you feel that inside of you, the less time is the limit. Why? Because it doesn't matter. You're not chasing anything anymore. You're just enjoying you. And when that happens, this is when we truly experience peace. I mean, we all want things, nothing to do with that. We can want things all the time. But when we always focus on the things that we want and do not pay attention to what we have, we run into a lot of problems. Apparently, one of those things is we lose the distinction. We lose the ability of distinction to know what's right and what's not anymore. In other words, you get confused. I hope this made sense. I actually don't remember what I just said. So that was channeled. All right. So that's for some of you. Oh boy. Some of you are choosing to not let other people in. And this is for those of you who are choosing to close yourself or protect yourself because you've been too hurt in the past or you're expecting something bad to happen. Why am I talking about this? I'm hearing this is going to be a surprise for you, but when you do that, you actually expect the worst thing to happen, and therefore you create it. So for those few of you, again, who are choosing to close yourself off from any relationship or from any opportunity that you deem is good because you don't believe it exists or because it hurt last time or whatever it is that you say you can't have because of, it's time to let go of that way of thinking. If you notice and you look at your past and you look at the difficulties in your life that seem to stand out, you will notice a similar thread that basically makes a pattern, and you might want to look at your patterns and realize that's what your belief is. In other words, when you keep struggling with the same thing over and over again, it is because it's one of the things that you are needing to learn about yourself. So it's going to be very different for different people, but it's important that you hear this, apparently. Don't hold yourself responsible for everybody, but be responsible for yourself first. Again, this goes for those of you who have a tendency to either overgive or be overly attached to other people's lives, and it's almost as if your life depends on theirs, so if they're happy, you're happy. If that's the case, that would be ideal, but unfortunately, and we all know, we don't have not only do we not have the responsibility of making other people happy, it's not possible. We cannot make someone happy. We can contribute to their happiness, but if they're fundamentally unhappy inside, it's not something you can give to somebody and say, here, take it. It doesn't work that way. They have to be able to commit to their own experience, whether good or bad. They have to be able to commit to their own happiness. So I want to say, some of you, take your hands off the wheel. Let somebody else drive it. So this also speaks to some of you who have a bit of a controlling streak. If you have a tendency to want to control things in your life because you know better and because you know how things go, and it's just why people make mistakes. Why don't just listen to me? Chances are it's not going to happen anyway, because when have you ever listened to somebody when your mother was saying, don't do this, and you went, yeah, right, and you stuck your fingers in the socket? Point is, the best way we learn is when it goes through our skin, when we have experience on our own skin. So trying to prevent something like that from happening is inevitable to eventually backfire on you. In other words, let others be themselves. You take care of your own happiness. This message is for somebody, I don't know for who it is, but it is interesting. And, I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. Number 7 is being shown to me. So some of you may have a connection to July. Some of you may be dealing with someone who is born in July. July may somehow be important to you. It could be a date or a year of someone's death, a year ending with the number 7, or July. That's past. When I'm talking about the passing, that's past. Or something may have happened in the month of July that will make sense to you with this. So you may have already experienced, some of you. Some of you, this is what I'm hearing, I don't know. Some of you are still babying your child and your child is 7 years old. So I'm thinking, well, that's 7, it's not an adult. Yes, but it's not a baby. So this is a metaphor, thank you. If you do have children, or if you have people that you think of as your children, notice if you are not over accommodating them for whatever it is that you are trying to figure out in yourself. In other words, notice if you are not overcompensating for your own fears, for your own guilt, for your own sense of lack, whatever it is. Because chances are this message is really for somebody, and it's important. Not because we are not here to give to others, but we are not responsible for others' lives. We are responsible for our lives. Now, you may say to me, well, I have somebody who can take care of themselves. Of course, but that is isolated case. That isn't generally the case. Of course, if somebody's incapable of taking care of themselves, of course. But that's not what I'm talking about. And you know it, whoever you are asking that question. Anything else? No, I'm being asked to move on. Okay, the image of getting out of your own prison is also being signified. And make no mistake, getting out of your own prison requires you to change your thinking process. So if you are starting to feel much more free inside, this is a congratulations that you have done hard work. Otherwise, you would not start to feel this way about you. So this is good. You have the card of common ground as one of the things that I'm looking at. What this is talking to me, several things. Number 1, you are one of those individuals that is like a glue. And whether it's at work, at family, friendships, you are the one holding things together. Now, if you are one of those mothers or parents for that matter, as an example, then that would also be an indication of the same thing. So you might want to watch where you spend your energies on and how does it serve you. And of course, if it's needed, it's required. But if it's done on a regular basis and there is some overcompensation for something, you guys will know what I mean. It's time for you to look at it, because oftentimes when we overcompensate this, when we overprotect our children, when we want to control situations, we are acting from a place of our own fears, and we're trying to prevent things from happening in other people's lives. It is a mistake. And obviously, yes, we're responsible for kids, no question. But when we have adults that we deal with, or kids who are ready to feel excited about growing up and learning responsibility and feeling strong in themselves, we have to take the hands off the wheel. So some of you are like those people. For some of you, it is important that everyone is on the same page as you. Absolutely so. But there's a bit of a red flag here where it's important to be on the same page. And of course, it would be ideal if everybody had the same thoughts and ideas. But watch out if you don't stick to your belief system so much that you refuse to give other people validity for what they believe. In other words, don't assume always that you know better. And I'm going to leave it at that. All right. You have the card of new paradigm. Well, that is a shift. New paradigm is changes happening, and changes happening on the inside that will eventually come out on the outside. So you might be feeling slightly off kilter. This is also about not forcing change, but not resisting change. You have cosmic midwifery. When I tune into this card, I felt many of you are literally being born. A new awareness is being born, and through the circumstances in your life, the things that come up, the situations you now have to face, a brand new you is being born. One with a different way of thinking, with a different way of believing, different way of looking at the world. New paradigm is a shift of consciousness, and this generally happens as a result of usually things that are, challenging, sometimes unpleasant. And what is the saying? When do you ever learn when it's easy? Generally, we don't retain that information, right? You also have the card of Yang. So this is doing. This is being action. So this, not that you have been lazy, but you may have felt like you were not able to take action at some point earlier. You might have been stuck in some situations. You might have been the one on the receiving end and unable to take actions. This is you needing to take action. This is you. Stop. What's the word I want to use? Stop over-explaining yourself to others. Notice if you do that. If you do, generally it comes from a place of feeling guilt. I'm channeling this information. So if you have some guilt around certain things in your life, you might need to examine it. The Queen of Cups is being shown to me in reverse in your past. So emotionally speaking, you may have been dealing with some difficulties, and it made you kind of emotionally, not very strong, but you might have been moody. You might have just felt emotionally all over the place, because generally the feeling is that you're very strong. But if you have had any issues with guilt, it's important for you to face that. Leg up is another message that says several things. Number one, be careful with over-caring. Here we go again. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm talking to somebody. Be careful with over-caring. Obviously, caring is part of who we are. It's what makes us human. It is one of our best qualities when we give out of love. But this is over-caring. The term over symbolizes there is overdoing of something, and it's always in order to So if you are overdoing something, overgiving, over-explaining, you might want to ask yourself the reason why. And rather than fighting with saying nothing, notice how you feel and then decide if it's truly nothing to you. In other words, nobody has to see it but you, but it's important for you to check your thinking. The other message of this card is let people help you. If you are always the one helping others, let people help you. And then I hear, no, you will not be taken advantage of. So some of you have this belief that if you help someone, if you let somebody in to help you, then somehow you're obligated. Then there is somehow an agenda, that there's always this hook at the end of that equation. And that has fundamental rootedness in trust. So you may not trust people to be there for you when you're in need, in which case you will have incredible difficulties with receiving. Why would they have difficulties with receiving? They don't trust they can have it. So if you don't trust you can have it, you will naturally block yourself from it. You know, guys know how this works. It's the basic principle of law of attraction, except I don't like those words. But this is a time of transformation for all of us, and it's time to get on board, so to speak. You have Page of Cups in reverse, and you have the Sun. This is a good thing. So for some of you, you might be dealing with a very immature male or immature younger person, or someone who's emotionally very immature. Or you may be getting some clarity on someone younger than you. This could be a child. This is someone you're taking care of. This is an employee. This could be a family member. I want to say someone younger, not necessarily, but I do feel someone that you take care of. And I feel like there's a sense of clarity with regards to either this individual or this situation. But if you think about it, most situations do include individuals. This is also a time of restoration, time of restoring the status quo. What does that mean? Whatever you have tried to keep the same, examine if it is actually working. And it's almost like it's almost like you need to reset. I want to say you need to press a reset button. So this could be a reset on, let's say you have a dynamic with your kids and all of a sudden it ain't working. Okay, total reset. We're starting from scratch, new rules. Or a reset with you. There's something about the reset. I'll let you figure that out. I also just got dizzy. Some of you have been running off your feet and you need to stop it. And I'm saying, why are they doing that? They're always complaining they're too busy. Yet look what they're doing. They're always finding things to do. So for those of you who are complaining that you are too busy, notice if there is something that you are doing to yourself on purpose to keep yourself busy. Chances are, if that's the case, if you are honest with yourself, and I always say nobody has to know, just you. You can't lie to yourself. Notice if that's the case, because again, there is this idea that if you keep doing and giving, you get value, you feel valuable, but it also prevents you from looking at yourself, which is always where our stuff is. But I think that's all I have. I wish you best of luck. I hope this is helpful. This is going to make sense to you, I promise, at some point, or maybe it already does. I would love to hear your comments or see your comments if, in fact, you resonate with it. Thank you again so much. If you would like a private session with me, that information is down below. I wish you best of luck in the month of October. Take care of yourself. Don't overgive. And best of luck. Bye.